Welcome to Keeping Up with Our Community, a podcast for and about Romeo Community Schools. Each week, we will invite different guests to share insights about some unique aspects of our schools. This podcast is powered by the MIT TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than MIT TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and you can even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the MIT TV of Romeo, Michigan, and you can contact them right now via email at mit.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. Hello, my name is Marianne Brush, and I serve as the Communications and Marketing Supervisor for Romeo Community Schools. It is my pleasure to host Episode 9 of the Keeping Up with Our Community Schools podcast. Today's podcast will focus on student success, the Academies of Romeo High School, and the profile of a Romeo graduate. With us today are Jennifer McFarlane, Assistant Superintendent of Academic Services, and Bernie Osebold, Romeo High School Principal. I will now turn the discussion over to them.
Good afternoon, Bernie. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me here today.
I'm glad you're at the table with us. So you kind of heard Marianne's intro about what we wanted to talk about today. So before we get started, though, tell us a little bit about yourself as a professional and how long have you been at Romeo High School and anything else you'd like to tell the audience?
Oh, long version or short. This is my 8th year in Romeo. And actually, I was just talking with Brendan when I walked in here, who's a former student, but it was never my intent to be a high school principal. And just, I remember years ago, had a degree in a different industry in engineering and then was getting into real estate and just kept reading about how our schools weren't preparing students for life after high school. And I wanted to be part of the solution. And then things happened and it just kind of led me here today. And what we're doing here with the Academies at Romeo High School is so close to, I guess, the dream that I had so many years ago. And it's just exciting to be able to be here and to be a part of this transformation we've done here in education.
That's great that you weren't going to be in education.
Nope,
and
never wanted to be.
You stumbled into it. So we're glad that you're here. So what makes Romeo High School different than any other comprehensive high school around us or in the state?
There's a lot. There's a few different ways of looking at it, and I'm sure we'll talk about all of them. Our structures are definitely part of that. Being on the block schedule allows us to do a lot of things, to not only just offering our students more opportunities and courses, but just allow us ways to provide some interventions for our students and different ways to support our kids. Then, of course, from the Academy side, we are making learning relevant. We're answering those questions that kids have always asked, which is, why are we learning this and when will I ever use this again? So we're kind of answering that with our students in the Academies. And I think those are part of your questions. I don't want to get too far into it now, but just the experiences that they're able to have and figuring out what they want to do in life. And like we tell our parents, because our students coming out of 9th grade choose one of 3 academies and a pathway within that academy, we're not asking a 15-year-old what they want to do for the rest of their life. We're just having them identify, what are you interested in? What do you want to learn more about? And as they go through it, we find with our seniors, only about half actually want to continue on with the pathway or an industry similar to that pathway after high school. And that's fine, because if they do want to continue on, that's fantastic. They got a leg up on any other student their age. And if they don't, well, we just save them a whole bunch of money and time, because they're not going to go to college for 2 or 3 years before they figure out, like, I don't like blood and I don't want to be a nurse anymore. So it's pretty exciting to what we're able to offer our kids.
So you talked a little bit about kids taking more classes on a block schedule. Talk a little bit more about that structure that is at the high school.
Yeah, so at our high school, we run a 4x4 block, we call it. What we do, we have some schools call them A and B days. We have red and white because those are our colors. And on their red day, they have 4 classes, and those are their odd classes. So hours 1, 3, 5, 7. And then on their white days, they have 4 different classes. Those would be their 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 8th periods. And having kids, or having the structure, we allow our students to take 8 classes, which allows them to take all the core classes that they need for their Michigan Merit curriculum. It provides them the opportunity to take their pathway course, which we'll talk a little bit more about that. They take those, well, in ninth grade, they take a seminar class. So they kind of, part of that is learning how to be successful in high school. They'll explore some different career options and make that choice for when they come to 10th grade. Once they're in 10th grade through 12th, they have a different course they'll take for those 3 years that are aligned to their pathway. The other piece is with that structure, we have 4 classes a day. So instead of maybe 55 minutes and having 6 classes in a day, we have about an hour and a half. So it allows the teachers to really go deeper into the content. The day isn't broken up by so many distractions and so many, having to pack up and go to the next class and all that. So it just allows our kids to really spend more time delving deep into, a particular, whether it's a topic that they're learning in their English class or their math class, or even getting into a project they might be doing in one of their pathway courses.
And it's similar to a college. You don't necessarily go to class every day once you're in college.
Yeah, great point. We're also preparing them again for that. And not that you have to go to college to be successful.
Correct.
That's a thing we're showing our kids too. If that's your path, we're going to help you to get there, and to get there hopefully with some extra credits and to know kind of what you want to do. And even if you don't want to, we have other opportunities for those students. But it just provides them that experience of that college type of schedule with you every other day.
And having 8 classes over 4 years, they could earn up to 32 credits. In a typical high school, they could earn up to 24.
Right. So there's all those extra classes to get to take. So in addition to, again, the Michigan Merit classes we talked about, those are your core English, math, science, social studies. And then their pathway class, they still get 3 electives a year. So anything from performing arts to physical education to visual arts. And they can also take other pathway classes. So if they're a student that's in the business academy, but they really want to learn how to be a better cook, they can take those culinary arts classes as an elective. And we have a lot of kids, we call them double majors, where maybe their official major is business, but they're also taking the 3 architecture classes because they have an interest in that as well.
Right. So within the structure of the day for kids, what is also a bonus for the teachers in that structure?
So that's the structure I was alluding to earlier. So with our teachers, and we intentionally schedule this, our teachers on their red days, they have the same prep time as every other teacher in their small learning community. We call those SLCs. And what that would be is in each academy, say the business academy, there's a 10th grade team of teachers. So that would be, say, your world history teacher, your geometry teacher, your English 10 teacher, and so on. There's an 11th grade team and a 12th grade team. So those 3 academies each have 3 teams. And then at the 9th grade building, we use that middle school model of the teaming where we have Team Expedition, Quest, and Discovery. They have common preps as well. And during that time, so once a week, that team of teachers meets along with the academy principal and the counselor. They meet for an hour and they just talk about kids. Who's struggling, who's having a great week, who's showing success, who's that kid on the bubble that's, a little bit of intervention now would really be able to help them out. And what we found is by having that time, we're able to reach so many of our kids. I tell parents all the time, no one at Romeo High School slips through the cracks. And we still have kids that struggle and we have kids that fail, but we make sure that we have interventions in place to meet with those kids, to meet with their parents, to provide them every support that we can, and really make sure that every kid has a chance to be successful in Romeo. Now, that's on our red days. On our white days, we do schedule it intentionally so that way all of our teachers that teach the same subject have the same prep. We call those professional learning communities, or PLCs. And so all chemistry teachers or all English 12 teachers would have the same prep time. And again, once a week, they meet and they talk about curriculum and instruction and common planning and assessments, and kind of have that time to ensure they're doing the best they can for their students and to have some commonality. So that way, regardless of what teacher you have, your English 10 experience should be pretty similar, across all the academies.
Yeah, and I heard, during the weird couple of years that we had finally gotten away from, some of the teachers said that those SLCs and PLCs really saved them when we were doing concurrent virtual and in-person instruction at the same time.
Yeah, and that's with teachers. I mean, as long as I've been in education, we talk about needing time, and teaching is it's a unique profession in that you're really by yourself all day. You're in a room with people, or excuse me, a building with lots of people, but you're in your room by yourself with your kids, of course. So there's not too many opportunities for collaboration amongst teachers. So this provides us opportunities to collaborate in different ways and gives teachers time together again, for the things we talked about, but also just anytime you want to do a new, as a school, a new initiative or a new area of focus or something as a priority, now we have the time to actually do it and pull it off and do so successfully.
Yeah, speaking of new, I know that, within the block schedule and the number of courses students take, we've had some new courses recently over the past couple of years that we've been able to provide for our kids. Do you just want to touch upon a couple of those if you can recall?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to miss some and I'm going to feel bad, but there are so many cool courses. I think we're over 135 unique courses that we offer at Romeo High School in the ninth grade academy. We've added a lot of different classes with baking and pastry arts and world cuisine. We've added a positive psychology course, which is one of our most popular elective courses that students take. We have a forensic science course that we offered a few years ago that's been very popular. Next year we've got a drone flying and
Aviation.
there we go, aviation and class. We've got I'm trying to think what they call it, creative metal manufacturing.
Tell me more about what that's about.
Yeah, we've got a fantastic machine tool lab, advanced manufacturing lab, that is actually going through a renovation right now, bringing in some, I drove by it as I drove here, but it's just one of those labs. It's a great space. It wasn't being utilized all day. So Mr. Keeler had this fantastic idea. You see those metal signs or even some of those like fire pit surrounds that people make. Well, so this class is going to allow students to design that and create those products. So it's a way for students that maybe don't want to do advanced manufacturing as a career, but they want to learn how to learn some of those skills and make some pretty cool products to take it as an elective. So we're kind of excited about that one. We think that would be a popular class.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we also added digital photography, but now that's going to be a CTE course.
Yes, Miss Stow. She was an art teacher, and she's taught a lot of different art courses. Photography was her niche, her love. And so a couple years ago, she came with a digital photography course, and it's just grown in popularity. And yes, we're working on getting it CTE approved, so it could be a potential pathway for kids down the road. But it just provides, again, more. What we're looking for always is more opportunities for our kids. There are so many different interests that our students have, and we want to be able to support them in as many as possible.
And I know another one I'm hoping some of the kids have opted to sign up for was the sports officiating through our PE department.
Yes, I told you I was going to forget some. That's another great one. So that's a new course. Mrs. Bennett brought that one to us. And students will be certified in 2 different sports, and there'll be different sports for the spring semester and the fall semester when they leave this course. So there is a small cost to it, but the cost is when the kids leave, they have the certificate to be an official. They don't have to pay for that. So the cost of the course, I think it's $50. It's way cheaper than if they went and did this on their own. And then kids could go right out and start officiating at basketball games or softball games or baseball games and making some money. Which is helping our students. It helps our community. And I mean, it's kind of a neat course to do anyhow.
Yeah, and it fills a need because I know they're always looking for officials for middle school or Parks and Rec. So.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too. And that's part of what we're doing at our high school as well, is we want to be a resource for our community. We want our students to leave high school, and some are going to go off and go to different states or other countries, and that's wonderful. But most of our kids are going to stay in the area. And we want them to be not just be productive citizens and wonderful people, which we know they're going to be, but can they fill a need that we have in our community and help make our community even better than it is?
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about those support structures and no one slipping through the cracks. You know, sometimes we know students do struggle, and I know that we have another academy, Romeo Virtual Academy, that you work closely with to maybe recommend some students that may need to move over to RVA to make sure and ensure that they get the diploma.
Yeah, that's one thing that Romeo really didn't have in the past, was an alternative education program. RVA, just really with the technology and where it exists nowadays, it's a great way to go, and it's an idea we had for many years. COVID kind of helped push that along and make it a reality probably sooner than it would have been. But we know so many of our students just in-person learning is not for them, and sometimes it's for disciplinary reasons, and that's a real thing. But nowadays, I mean, there's so many things that kids go through, whether it's physical health issues or mental health issues. Having another option for them has been great, and we've got students that we got students singing in Nashville and playing hockey in Canada and in Italy, and it just gives them an opportunity. They still want that Romeo diploma. They still want to be tied to our community, so they can go out there and do life and do the exceptional things they're doing, but still be a Romeo High School student. Our RVA students are able to participate in all of our sports. They come to our dances. They walk across the stage at graduation. They get the same diploma, same cap and gown as every other Romeo student. So that's really been a great opportunity for our kids that need something different. And another piece too is the team over there at RVA. They've done an exceptional job. I think in Michigan, the average success rate of an online program is about 50%.
Yeah.
We're around 90.
Yep.
And that's better than a lot of high schools in person. So it's not like they're going to RVA and, well, they're going to fail out. That's not what we do here at all. Those students are just as supported. They're just as successful as they are here in person at Romeo High School. And it's really given us a chance, even if kids that are behind in credits, it's another opportunity to make up credits quick. They can kind of work at their own pace. So it's really helped to provide all of our students with an opportunity, because what we want is just for them to leave high school with the skills to be successful with that next step, and having that high school diploma is a part of that.
Yeah, so lots of added value with all of the programming that we have at Romeo High School. Talk a little bit about, we talk about a profile of a graduate, and we just did a refresh on that. We've been working all year to get the graphic nailed, but I know there's a piece of it that we call Be Romeo that your team is really excited about, and you have some plans and opportunities to kind of initiate and launch that in the fall. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, we had a committee that was looking into that Be Nice initiative, or program that's out there in the state. And it's a cool program. And I think I saw Tom Izzo and Jim Harbaugh did some commercials for it. But as they were talking about it, and we were talking to some of the people from that Be Nice, it wasn't really fitting with us. And then we were kind of thinking, we already kind of have a thing here. We've got this Be Romeo idea. And that really was coined by Greg Briner, our former athletic director. And, that was a thing. It was something that we just kind of said and did. And it was one of those, like, if you were in Romeo, you knew what it meant, right? We never really defined it, but you knew what it was. So we kind of said, let's be more intentional with it and really put it out to our kids, because we felt, and I think COVID was a part of it. And then, of course, people change over time, and our kids today are different than they were even 5 or 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to be a little bit more intentional with that. So Mr. Briner came in over the summer, and we kind of had some brainstorming sessions and really kind of nailed down what it meant for that Be Romeo, right? And it's just, it's responsibility and service and all those words that you just think about when you think about our community. And it's towards, of course, our community, for our schools and for ourselves and for other people. And so that's really at the core of what we're working on with the profile of the graduate. So like you said, we've been working on the graphic, and I have been very picky about that, I know, but
passionate,
but it just really, because that's the core of who we are in Romeo. Around that next level is going to, that's that profile of a Romeo graduate. What is it that makes a Romeo student and graduate successful, yes, but also different than what you're going to find somewhere else
in a typical high school, for sure.
You got it. So a lot of that, of course, community involvement, but also those industry experiences and things that we have that kids don't get elsewhere. It's going to be a part of it as well. So that's coming out here soon. We're looking to work with actually not just our teachers, but also some of our student groups to kind of roll that out next year. So it's peer-to-peer teaching and coaching, not just adults, because they tend to listen to their older peers more so than they do the teachers sometimes.
So stay tuned for more.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
So we touched a little bit upon the Academies kind of pathway ideas. Let's talk about what are our, we have a ninth grade Academy. What's different about ninth grade for the Romeo student versus a typical student in another district or high school?
So all of our ninth grades, we house it at a separate building. Years ago, we had passed a bond, and we were adding on to our tech center to become our new high school and kind of merging the middle school. So where the new high school is, there was what was Powell Middle School. So that has become the ninth grade Academy. And it's just been a great way for students that age to have 1 year apart from high school. Anyone that knows children that age, that middle school to high school transition, it's a unique age, and they just need 1 more year, because honestly, you got a 13, 14-year-old coming into a building with essentially grown men and women, and it's very challenging and daunting to those students. Kids will start dressing certain ways or acting certain ways to kind of look older or act older and show off. And we just we want to give them a year to not do that. So they're together at the ninth grade building. We've got a fantastic team of teachers who all chose to work there. They wanted to work with that age of kids. And we've got those three teams: Team Expedition, Team Discovery, and Team Quest. And so the kids in that team will have the same group of teachers. So again, Team Discovery will have the same math teacher, science teacher, socials, and all that. So those teachers really get to know those kids. And what it's done, it's been enabled us to take a pretty decent sized class of about 450 kids and shrink it down into three groups of 150. And that way our teachers can really get to know those individual students. So again, it allows us for all the structures of talking about kids and meeting with them and supporting them and all that, but it's allowed them to have a kind of a middle school 2.0 experience where they're more supported, where they're kind of, and then that next part too is we talked about they have a seminar class that they take, freshman seminar. And in that class, they learn different skill sets to be successful students. But again, they also have an opportunity to explore different career paths and kind of make that decision of what academy they want to go into as a 10th grader.
Yeah, and I know they do a lot of exploration around careers and card sorts, and they went to Career Quest. I think we had 12 or 13 of our school buses this year that transported them up to Novi for that Career Quest. And they do some college visits, and they really get a unique experience as ninth graders to be prepared to choose what they're passionate about currently, I think is what you had said earlier. They're not choosing the career for the rest of their life.
Right. And then, like you said, too, that's the thing we have as part of our academy experiences, our students at different grade levels will get a different type of industry experience. So our ninth graders all visit at least 2 college campuses. And they get a chance to just see what college is about and go to visit the campus and just kind of see what college life looks like. Once kids come to 10th grade, all of our 10th graders go to on an industry tour. So students that are in healthcare might go visit a hospital or a nursing home or something to see like what do these kind of career options look like out there in the real world. For our juniors, we provide job shadowing opportunities. So if they want to go and work with, if they want to be an engineer, they can go work with an engineer for a day and kind of see what that job looks like, with that person doing it. And for our seniors, we look for opportunities for them to do some internships where they can, sometimes during the school day or after, they can actually earn high school credit to go work a job in the field of what they're wanting to do.
Yeah, and I know that our numbers are growing in that area in 12th grade. And we have a retreat coming up in a few weeks. We'll present some of that data. But those unique experiences that the kids have outside of the building aren't the only experiences they have. Our business partners come into the schools as well. Can you maybe give me some examples of what what might look like?
Yeah, that's been really a focus for the last 2 years. With our staff is kind of taking our academies to that next level. So we call them cross-curricular project-based learning. It looks different at every group. Again, we had that SLC word earlier. So all of our Business Academy 12th grade teachers are in a group. All of our Health and Human Service Academy 10th grader teachers are in a group. But yeah, they've come up with some pretty creative ideas. We've got a food truck idea that was piloted last year. That's kind of we're pretty excited about what it's going to look like this year. Our 12th grade business teachers and students they're partnering with Blake's Apple Orchard, that company they've created. I think it's a baked good product.
Nice.
But the neat part is it's not just the CTE, the pathway course that's working with it. They're working with the English, classes and the math classes and science. And, English is looking at the words and on the packaging, and they're talking about, and if I'm wrong on this, sorry, but like pathos and ethos and all those kind of things, and talking
Persuasion.
about like, there you go. What's the idea behind this, and why are we choosing to go this route versus that? Math, classes are kind of doing some calculations on who knows what, but it's just a way to kind of bring let kids realize they're learning all these things in all their classes for a purpose, and this is how it could be applied in the real world. So we're excited about some of those opportunities for them.
So I know the project was last year, but it was a real highlight for our visitors when we had our retreat in March last year. But talk a little bit about the 2 sensory rooms that our students had a part in designing and creating.
Yeah, that was trying to think how that need even came to us. Actually, I think our local Lions Club reached out and said, we raised a good amount of money this year. Peach Fest, of course, that's a Romeo event, and they wanted to give back to the schools, and they said, do we have any special projects? And Lions Club also was very involved with special needs children. So started talking to a few different people and this idea of a sensory room. And for those of you that don't know, it can look very differently, but it's a space where students that might have unique needs can kind of go and either calm down, or maybe they need to get hyped up a little bit, or just kind of take a time out, because we want to avoid students getting overstimulated and having to go home because they overreact. We want a different place for them to go to be able to kind of like reset themselves and come back to the class. So we had some old storage closets and that we cleaned out, and we had a team of students. And the great part was we had kids from our construction class, business class, architecture,
I think education.
I got to be missing one. Video production kind of filmed it. But we had our students in the business class kind of acted as the project managers. We had a student who was in our construction class that kind of was the project manager for this, and kind of made sure the stuff got installed properly. And they went through the whole process of coming up with the idea. Education students did some research on what would be best there. Our architecture students designed the space, and all the students went and they pitched it to the Lions Club, and they got a donation of $10,000. And then I told the kids, now the real work begins, right? So now they had to go through and, okay, now we got to find the products. We got to stay under budget. What are we going to order? We really wanted this, but man, it's like $3,000. We got, what are we going to have to give up? And so they ordered everything. It came in, so they had to, manage inventory and find a place to put it all. And then they had a few weeks to do the spaces, and they did a lot of the work themselves. And at the end, we have 2 spaces. They're located right next to our ASP classrooms, which is the perfect spot for them. And it was really great. And the students that were involved in that project, when I would talk with them either this year or at graduation last year, they all said that was one of the greatest things they did in high school. And just not only the experience of doing it, but knowing that they were doing this for their peers and the kids that they see in the halls every day. And it really was something they enjoyed doing, and it filled a need that we had at our school.
Yeah. So sometimes that happens, right? Somebody has an idea or a need, and with the skill set that the students are learning at Romeo High School, they like to complete projects.
That's the thing. The kids are so talented in the things that they can do. If we just, and that's what education should be, right? It shouldn't be sit in a desk and stare at the front and listen and memorize this. It should be about how do we apply this to do something, again, the whole, why do we need to know this? We're giving our kids an opportunity to kind of do some projects and let them go, like giving them some guidance. I remember back to this, to that group with the sensory room that was going to pitch the idea. Well, they had to come pitch it to me first. And I told them, I said, look, guys, because I walked in there and they were not ready and they were kind of whatever. I'm like, all right, I'm leaving. We're going to do this again. You got to be ready tomorrow. I said, think of me as a CEO. You got 5 minutes.
Nice.
That's all you get. And I said, and I'm going to give you some constructive feedback, and it's not going to be nice. Okay. And I said, I'm not doing it to be mean, but I want you to understand this is what it's like in real world. I came back. It was better. Still wasn't great. I gave them some pretty direct feedback as far as the presentation and asked questions that they couldn't answer. And I gave them another 2 days, and they came back, and I tell you what, they were fantastic. And when they went to that Lions Club and did the presentation, I mean, it was like adult professionals up there. So these kids were able to take that feedback and did something with it. And I think it's because it wasn't, not that grades aren't important, but it wasn't for a grade. It was for a real experience. Like they actually had to go, and their success was whether or not they're going to get this money. Right. So there was something real attached.
Yeah,
to
some
it.
skin in the game there.
So that was cool. That was great for the kids to go through that experience, and I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, when we think about the profile of a graduate skills, Be Romeo is the heart, right, of the values of what we want our students to become. And when we think of some of the skills that they need in the real world, right, collaborating together in a project like that, communicating effectively to get what we want.
Well, actually, it's not you bring that up. That's really the core of the profile of the graduate anyhow. It's not just what we as teachers think kids need to know. We went and talked to our business partners. We went out there as teachers and did our own industry tours. And one of those was to ask them, what do you need in a great employee and worker? And we took that feedback from them, and that's a big part of what the profile of a graduate is. Like you said, having those collaboration skills, being able to get out there and present and share your ideas and do so in an organized way. It's shocking how many adults can't do that. So if we can have our kids to learn how to do those and practice those skills when they're in high school with us, I mean, we know we're going to give them a leg up with whatever they do next.
Yeah. So those are all the questions I have. Is there anything that you wanted to share about Romeo High School and some of the things that are happening there that I didn't get a chance to ask the question?
I mean, we talked about a lot. It really is. I mean, honestly, the long-term goal, at least for me and those that I talk with, is we're working to get our kids to start kind of taking over the school and helping, run it. We're working on a student congress, which is an idea one of our seniors, our current seniors had last year. Landon, sorry we couldn't make it happen when you were still in high school. It's going to be for next year, but it's a pretty cool thing where we're just kind of relooking at your traditional student council. We're going to keep that, but make it a part of this bigger picture and have our students really start making some decisions about different policies we have, how we spend money at our school. And again, that's just one part again, but we want to teach our kids and talk about student voice. Yeah, I can send out a survey, but what I want is our kids actually in that room making those decisions
at the table,
and and us as adults being there to guide them throughout the process.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, as the principal, I get the veto, but
yes, you get the final say.
But no, that's gonna be fun too. So that's just a part of it. But just taking that next step, and that's, I guess, one thing is I think we do well is we don't just do things because we're authentic in what we do. It's not just, well, we have student voice. Well, we have the survey we do, and we have the, we don't want to do that. We want to do it right and do it real. So we want our kids to be a part of those processes. So.
And really empower them.
Absolutely.
For their current life as well as future.
And the thing is, I never thought of myself as old, but I am, when I talk to the kids and, I look at the stuff they're on, and I used to be a tech person. I can't even work my phone anymore. So it's just, seeing how quick the world's changing. Yeah. And instead of like AI, right? We talked about that here earlier. There's so many things out there, and it's like we can fight it, or you can just learn to work with it. And the best way to do that is to have our kids be a part of the process and learn how to reach them and what they're into and what their interests are, versus trying to fit them into our mold, because our mold is past due. It's old.
Yeah, it's stale.
It's not 1997 anymore. So
no.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if going viral is still the catchphrase.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I throw some old statement out there. So, yeah.
That's all right. You and me both. So, well, thank you for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And I'm excited for us to hopefully go viral and people to learn more about.
All 7 people will hear this.
About Romeo High School and all of the things that our students are able to experience.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer and Bernie, for this update on all the exciting and innovative things going on to support success for all students at Romeo High School. And to our listeners, be sure to check out earlier episodes, and next up, we'll be hearing about our partnership with Ford NGL and the community transformation with both our high school and middle school. Thank you for joining us, and tune in next week to keep up with Romeo Community Schools. This podcast is powered by the MIT TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than MIT TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and you can even edit your podcasts. That's all right here at the MIT TV of Romeo, Michigan, and you can contact them right now via email at mit.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com.